Mama, I want more toy.
Hello everyone, TFP Freckles here, and today we're looking into the Gamer Edition subline Voyager class Starscream from the War for Cybertron game. Now, the Gamer Edition releases have been a bit strange to say the least. While like most of what's been offered, it hasn't been the most consistent. We've had a fantastic Prime, a potential figure of the year for many. There was Barricade, which was like mostly good except for his flat feet, and the Bumblebee was fun. And besides those weird knee tabs and his rather small fusion cannon, Megatron was actually pretty solid. Same with the Cliffjumper, which was just red Bumblebee. So the big question is, how does Starscream stack up? This figure has its fair share of oddities right out of the box. However, I think it's just as good as Prime. I know the inevitable question will pop up in the comments. Which is better, the Deluxe or the Voyager? Both have their share of inaccuracies or flaws and general weird issues. The original Deluxe is small and not as posable as this figure. The robot mode is also very, flat, but that's primarily due to, how it was based on the concept art, and if they really wanted that accurate forearm shape, it would have looked like a gorilla, and the articulation at the time was just very limited. But as for this new Voyager, the posing is definitely better and more closely resembles the game design in several areas. The only issue I have with it is Starscream's large cockpit, which I fixed with some silver Sharpie. It helps to slim him down. While some complain about him being too wide, I think it's just the Cheeto torso that is the main issue. Plus, I don't need an exact replica of the game model. These figures are close enough for me. I don't need any Planet X figures. I've heard some complaints about the soft plastic that the cockpit is made out of, but I never understood it because if it were solid, clear plastic, these hinges would be super thin and would probably crack. We all know how much people like to complain about clear plastic, and I guess this time Hasbro kind of listened. So they most likely opted for a soft, clear plastic to prevent constant breakage, making it flexible. The details aren't painted on the sides, so the cockpit looks a lot wider than it, actually is. It's painted on top, but that part is much thicker and less flexible. If the sides were painted and you intentionally twisted it, then the paint would sort of flake off. Could there have been a more elegant solution? Yeah, probably. But is this really that bad? No, not at all. Because everything else about this toy just rocks. The arms aren't as thin as the initial pictures made them out to be. The legs, while in a tree trunk shape, are very nice. And yeah, there's some missing paint compared to the game model. But that's the case for most of these figures. I mean, look at this back. This is a clean back, with all the wings situated correctly, including the blue tail fins. He comes with this mace, which is in two parts, with the top section being a slightly softer material, so you don't accidentally bludgeon someone's eyes out. And a sniper can be plugged into his arm or held in his hand. I like that. I like how small the handle is, so it doesn't disrupt the silhouette when plugged into the arm. And it fits nicely into that 5mm port in his forearm to make it feel extra secure. Now let's talk about posing. This guy can pose incredibly well. He's a bit of a chunky bro, but he can pull off some wicked poses here. As you can see, his articulation is genuinely good, especially for a Gamer Edition toy. Because, let's be honest, Prime and Megatron have been the only standouts in this department. It's nice that we now have a third option that feels like a vast improvement. The head is on a ball joint and can look up real far, which is great for a flyer, and the back pieces can rotate forward and out. The shoulders have a full rotation and can go in and out, plus there's a bicep rotation, double jointed elbows, and wrist rotation. It even has waist joint, although the cockpit design slightly limits it. The legs can go forward, backward, and out, basically unhindered. There's a thigh rotation and slightly 90-degree of bend at the knee. Now those knee tabs, they tend to click into place, and that's purely for the alt mode, but it is an unfortunate placement. And finally, the ankle tilt is designed to go so far, but you can push it further, allowing for some very dynamic, low-down poses he often does in game. For how surprisingly little he's actually in the game, he can pull off all of those poses, which is awesome. Yeah, I very much like the robot mode, but now airplane time. Let's make him a jet. And this transformation is extremely interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a Starscream do half of the things he does, and it shares absolutely nothing with the original Deluxe. And there you have it, the Jet Mode. Very interesting transformation leading to a pretty streamlined jet mode, other than the arms hanging out a bit at the front. And off to the side are these tiny little tail fins that I sometimes forget to fold out for some reason. But apparently, according to the CAD files, these wings are actually as small as they are here, which is strange, but I don't really care. I've always been a fan of this jet design, and it really looks the part here. It does feel slightly empty underneath, but it is kibble-free mainly, which is a plus. It's also quite long compared to other Voyagers, even if the robot mode is a tad smaller next to a modern one. The weapon storage is not great, but I'm not terribly surprised by that. Overall, I really like this figure. It's a lot of fun to transform, pose, handle, and hold. It's better than most of the other Gamer Edition toys we've gotten, and this is just awesome. I am totally excited for what comes up next in the Gamer Edition line, and I can highly recommend this figure, including the Prime and even the Megatron. It's fun, solid, and feels great, and I would highly encourage everyone to put that silver Sharpie on his cockpit. Same with Skywarp, it really does a lot to make him look better. Is it perfect? No, but it'll do, and it's an absolute blast to mess with. That's been my look at Transformers Gamer Edition Starscream. Join my Patreon for behind-the-scenes photos and updates. Until then, I'll see you next time.